お前の道はここで終わりだ。見せてその先の力というもの。ブリーチ、ブレイブソウルズ。
Alright guys, we're back again with yet another Bleach Brave Souls video, and today I figure I may as well fix up all of the top 10 lists that I've did throughout the entire month of January, with the exception of the overall top 10 best units in the game, because I feel like that list went out quite fairly well, barely getting much of a criticism, and the units were placed just fine. It's just that most of these lists were pretty much not done the greatest, but if anything, at least they were worthy sacrifices of making a really solid top 10 list as a whole. And here we are. We're just going to be changing up by attribute, and rather than do like an entire video explaining every single character, we're just placing the characters in their right order. And we're also going to be adding 3 new characters, being 2 of the Valentine's Day characters and Aizen. I do not consider Valentine's Day Momo to be a top 10 for mine, because mine just has a lot better characters now that we don't even need to put her in the list. And yeah, with that being said and done, let us begin. Let's start off with Power, which is by far the worst one. Like, easily by far the most controversial one that I've done, and a lot of people were angry that I placed Parasol Rukia at number 3. Which, okay. But let me just say this. For one, I said in the freaking video that all 3 of these characters were pretty much contender for number 1 because they all had flaws. None of them were perfect. I even specified that, and yet people disagreed, literally complained about my placing of her. That being said, I still think that all 3 of these characters, for their attribute, they're just not that crazy good, if I'm being honest, because we just have so many better characters that just do the job better. Rukia is definitely going to be the best character for Limit Breaker Quest. However, I find her use in Guild Quest to be quite bad when the max I've seen out of her is like 42 seconds remaining in a very hard Guild Quest. Yamamoto does better than Rukia in Guild Quest, but in everywhere else, he's just not going to do the same damage as Rukia, is going to suck in Limit Breaker Quest. And 8th Anniversary Ichigo is the better character for Inheritance Trials, but just sucks everywhere else. You guys see the problem with Power? Is that all 3 of these characters excel in one game mode, but always have some kind of problem. In the case of Rukia, it's her SA2. That being said, because of Nightmare GQ taking a huge effect on some of the characters that have Frenzy +1 80% SP boost, and 8th Anniversary Ichigo proven to not be good in Guild Quest as a whole, here is the list. I'm gonna change Rukia and put her at number 1. Yeah, I've finally come to a conclusion, just like everyone else, that she's the number 1 best power character in the game. She's probably gonna be okay in Nightmare difficulty, but you're still gonna be handicapped to not being able to use the SA2 in terms of damage, that we still need a better ranged Aranker killer as a whole. Like, there's just no other way out of this, like, realistically speaking. And then Yama and Ichigo, again, I do find Yama to be better than Ichigo for Guild Quest, whereas Ichigo is going to be the king in IT. So I have to put him at number 2 now for that reason alone. And bro, the crazy thing is, people were saying that this Nelio is better than Ichigo. And here's what I say. No. That isn't the case at all, because this Ichigo still clears faster than Nelio. I made a whole video comparing these 2 characters in Inheritance Trials, and this guy was able to get out the status elements with ease compared to her, and was able to blitz through Human Killer Inheritance Trials. I'm not even joking. And to that point, you want to pretty much use this character and just use Mashiro as a link. You're going to be autoing Inheritance Trials with this character. You're going to be clearing faster in Inheritance Trials with this character, so why not make use out of this character? So yeah. And now, let's just go ahead and rank Mashiro. For that, I'm going to have to bump out Ulquiorra out of the top 10. He's good for Guild Quest still, don't get me wrong. He's one of the NAD characters to use with Christmas Nelio and such. But Mashiro, though, yeah, where am I going to place her at? Okay, I do not deem her to be better than Nelio because Nelio just has a better status element for starters, which is being weakening and does have the increased status element chance like this Mishiro right here. And Nelio does have a slightly better kit than Mishiro because she does have the 3k length beam, albeit the width is kind of lacking, Suction Vortex on the SA2, and then the full screen 1200 radius SA3. Whereas Mishiro is like Suction Vortex into a lunge, and then 1080 radius full screen, and I need to check her skills again. What was it? Okay, she's... I don't know. Do I really want to say that this character is better than Nelio? They're tied, actually, if I'm being 100% honest. It's just the kit is the problem. Like, it ain't that crazy. That's the issue. Yeah, for now, let's just say that Mishiro and Nelio are pretty much both number 4. Like, there's just no other way to pretty much rank the character, even though this character does do more damage, but once the paralysis is gone, you can't inflict 80% SP boost to make your way out of it, and Nelio has weakening, and weakening has never been cooked in Inheritance Draw, so yeah, I'm just gonna place her here. And the power attribute is pretty much dog water as a whole, that if I were to rank the actual attribute among these other 4, it definitely would have to be the lowest. I would have to put them right down here at rock bottom. It isn't that good of an attribute, if I'm being 100% honest. And you know what? Hold on. I'm actually making second thoughts here because Ulquiorra is really good in Guild Quest, like, honestly speaking. So, I want to put him back in. It's just that the thing about it is, this Ruruka right here, she's gonna be better in epic raids and farming potions, but nothing too good in Guild Quest. Rukia, she's definitely not gonna be good in Nightmare difficulty. Without the 80% SP boost, no way. And it's like, you guys see the problem here? It's so difficult to rank these characters because of how bad the attribute is. It's not even funny. It's still a mess, even though I just fixed the top 3, and then everywhere else it's like, god damn, bro. I don't even know, bro. I really don't know. Yeah, at this point I have to pretty much rank Ulquiorra above Rukia and pretty much take off Swimsuit Ruruka from the top 10. It's so weird. It's not even funny. Like, you guys are probably gonna agree, disagree. I just don't even care anymore. This is why I did not want to revisit Power as a whole, because of how bad it is. I even stated it in my rant video. Like, it's a mess. It's an actual mess. Now for technique, I did tie Ichigo and Ichibei together, and the list itself is pretty solid. But if I were to pretty much, you know, make an adjustment, I would have to officially say that Ichibei is numero uno for technique. Yeah, in base, he isn't really the greatest, but once you get the gauge out, because he does have the cooldowns, the gauge rampage, you know, helping out with filling it up again, yeah, this guy's just gonna be the best technique unit as a whole to use. The only really big downside to it is he just doesn't have the right status element immunity for his own Guild Quest rotations. Like, he has, I believe, freeze immunity, which clearly has nothing to do with Soul Reaper or Quincy, which is pretty much what he was designed to be used for. He's mainly used for limit break requests, and if you bring, you know, Quincy Ichigo, he's helping him out, but that's just about it. Tech is a bit wonky as an attribute, but it's better than Power, that I can actually rank it a bit better, and yeah, compared to however Speed, Mind, and Heart, I have to pretty much drop the attribute down and pretty much put him at number 4. It'll definitely get better once we get more characters, but for now, as it stands, I think that's how the technique attribute is right now, currently. Speed, we don't really have to make an adjustment out of this. Yeah, when I made the list, it was actually not that bad. Honestly, I think it was pretty good and faithful for what I was trying to do. That being said, people have been pretty much complaining about Ulquiorra being above Uryu, even before then. The reason why I ranked them a lot higher was because of his Guild Quest potential with being able to nuke. But now, even with very hard, yeah, his nuking prowess is pretty much gone. However, he still proved to be a much more effective character than Uryu because of the 80% SP boost, because he has the tracking vortex, and because of all the valuable asset that this guy has. But with Nightmare, sadly, this guy has been power cracked. It's not even funny because I could only clear Nightmare GQ of Range Tolo with 10-11 seconds remaining. A character that came out at the end of 2022 is has now been power prepped for Guild Quest, which isn't that crazy, and it's sad because this guy is still one of my favorite characters. I still enjoy him, but it's sad to see him fall off for that type of GQ in particular. To the point that now I have to pretty much lower this guy's utility and put him lower than Uryu. Uryu, I feel like, is still going to be okay because of the gauge effect that he has. And heck, Toshiro, the funny thing is, he pretty much has the same characteristics as Ulquiorra without the weakening, but he's just going to be able to hit a lot harder with his, multipliers, plus has the gauge, so he was actually able to out-age this Ulquiorra for when it comes to Guild Quest. Like, I had an easier time using this character in Melee Squad 0 Human than I ever did with Ulk in Ranged Hollow. And Toshiro I had in like 3-5. Ulk was match transcended. So like, how is that even possible? You guys see where I'm going for? And if we were to be realistic and such, probably underneath Senjumaru at this point, because Senjumaru is literally Concord Ichigo, but much better. Like, just the fact that she has Frenzy +2, 50% Berserker, and 100% pure damage, there's just a big difference that you could technically make a case and use her for like Limit Breaker Quest, Guild Quest, and yeah, just that she's not going to be capable of inflicting status elements. She's still going to be clearing faster in pretty much most content. So maybe this is going to be the right placement for Ulquiorra from now on. Maybe. I don't know. Personally, I see this guy still being above Senjumaru and whatnot, but maybe let's just keep Ulquiorra at number 4 for the time being, and as time goes on, we'll see how to rank the speed units as is. But yeah, that being said, it's the best attribute that we have in the game, so I'm gonna keep speed as is. Now, mind, yeah, I'm gonna lower down 7th Anniversary Ichigo because if this character was power crept for Ranged Hollow, expect the same thing for Ranged Soul Reaper and Oronkar, because he does have Frenzy +2 with only 40% Berserker and 80% SP boost. No 40% damage to weakened and lacerated enemies, nothing of that kind of sort, and yeah, so he's gonna go down, down, down. Below Ikaku, maybe? Like, Ikaku, I don't deem him to be a Guild Quest character, but he's certainly gonna be better in most content than 7th Anniversary Ichigo. So there's that to take into consideration. Okay, if I'm gonna do this, then I have to do this as well. Yeah, okay. Now I think it's a bit better to pretty much make a case for, if I'm being 100% honest. Okay, I know there's Tensa, who pretty much does the same stuff as Senjumaru, but is a bit weaker. But I think for now, we'll just keep Ulquiorra as is. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys think Ulquiorra should go even below Tensa, but I think that's just overkilling it at this point. So, yeah, that's how I'm gonna rank Ulquiorra now and Ichigo. And yeah, Nini, I have pretty much accepted that she's actually a lot better than what I gave her credit for. In base, I still think that she sucks, but realistically speaking, she's just Technique Ichibei without the cooldown reduction when you activate the gauge. But everything else, she does more or less the same damage as him. His Soul Bomb is still going to be quite good, not as good as Ichibei. And for Nightmare GQ, this character was better than Ulquiorra right here. So she definitely has quite the prowess for when it comes to Guild Quest. Limit Breaker Quest a bit less because no cooldown, but like, yeah, there's that. Asnot is really good, and I somehow completely forgot that this guy, for when it comes to talking about Guild Quests, he can solo it on his own. Like, just, he's pretty damn easy to use and get the 80% SP boost out. And in Nightmare difficulty, he proved to be very effective as a character for ranged no affiliation. And now that leaves us with getting a new character in, and that's the Mind Aizen. This Mind Aizen is just ridiculously good for a mid-month character. Like, he is basically Spirits Are Forever with you, Tosh, but without the gauge. That's what this guy is. He has the same kit as Toshiro. He has a better Soul Bomb than Toshiro. It's just that he doesn't have the gauge to completely perfect him. But other than that, I do consider him a top 10 for Mind as a whole, and I have to tie him with Asnot. The way of how these two characters function is that I still think that Asnot will be able to dish out way more damage than Aizen because of the fact that he has Frenzy +2, 80% SP boost, and it's just going to be even easier to get it out with this character compared to Aizen. That being said, Aizen is going to be a much better character for when it comes to the likes of epic raids, and you can inflict status ailments on all of your attacks. Asnot can only do it with the SA1, SA3, Nad, and Soul Bomb, and you can't even make use of the SA2 because it doesn't inflict ailments and is a barrier. So while he has shorter cooldowns, I do think that this guy has some advantages, and they both have their own pros and cons. You'll notice it once you pretty much get around to playing as the character. So I'm gonna leave the characters as is. And yeah, this should be quite good enough on its own. So yeah, and then the remaining characters to pretty much dip out. I have to pretty much dip out Ulquiorra at this point and pretty much put him below Grimjaw. I do think that Ulquiorra is going to be better for IT, but Grimjaw is going to be better than Ulk for epic raids, believe it or not. So there's that to take into consideration. And yeah, mine is definitely in a much better place, but I don't deem it to be as crazy broken as Heart when it comes to the overall OP units that we have in the game. So I'm gonna put the list underneath Heart. And finally, we have Heart to correct. And number 1 and 2, we're still gonna leave Ichigo for number 1 and Kyogen number 2. I do think that this guy has a lot more value in guild quests because of the double killers, because of the insane SA3. You don't need to build up with this character to be able to tackle on guild quests. This guy is going to be able to clear out just fine, get the job done. Killgate does need a build up, however, in the long run, outside of guild quests, I do deem him to be better because you don't need to have killer to get most of the damage out. You just go in the quest, build up the rampage, and there you guys go. You have yourselves a broken character, and Killgate's just OP for that. Even though in Limit Break Request, for whatever reason, they kind of nerfed slot 3 for him. I don't know why. And I'm not going to dive into discussion about that. Anywho, the newcomer for Heart is going to be Valentine's Day Ruruka, and I do deem her to be a top 3, and I'm going to put her right above Bruno. I do think that this character is going to be a lot more consistent than Bruno, and she does have the mini rampage like Yuha Baha, so I think she's definitely worthy of the top 3 spot. Gonna put out Nini because she's definitely outdated at this point, not that good anymore. And then we have some fixing to do because I feel like these other 4 characters are kind of badly placed that we need to, you know, do some adjustments to them. So I'm gonna put Ichigo right above Aizen and Rengiku now because I still forget how good this character is and how his damage will still scale better and how good his kit is because of, you know, Frenzy plus 2, 100% pure damage. It's just that the reason why I kind of ranked him low is because I was kind of let down how Tensa did better than Ichigo in Limit Break Request for the specific slot, and then when I got to use him in Killgate slot, he wasn't as good as I thought, and that kind of got me a bit let down, and I thought that this Rengiku would be better in terms of damage scaling, and then turns out I was wrong, and yeah, I had to pretty much fix the list, and yeah, I'm pretty much comfortable with saying this, but I do think that Ichigo is better than Rengiku. Then between 6th Anniversary Aizen and Rengiku, Aizen's damage is lower than Rengiku, although the kit that he has is still quite good, and he's just going to be the much better character to use for guild quests. Right now, he does okay and very hard, but for Nightmare, I do see this guy falling off and not being as good, so he's going to suffer the same fate as the 3rd Anniversary Ulquiorra. He might not even be able to clear, just saying. And with that comes the talk of Halloween Noelle, because this character is basically a mini Power 1000-Year Blower Yamamoto. By that, I mean, she has the exact same skills as him, almost the exact same kit, it's just the only difference is that she has an 18% shave rather than a beam SA1. And if you guys know Yama, you know that this guy does really well in guild quests and is capable of getting 40 seconds plus remaining clear times. And this Noelle can pretty much do exactly the same thing and does it better than 6th Anniversary Aizen. However, I do deem Aizen to be better in most content than her. However, with how GQ has been changing, yeah, I have to pretty much now put Noelle above 6th Anniversary Aizen at this point. I think this is gonna be the list, huh? Yeah, seems about right. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be changed. Kaname is gonna fall off by the time we update the Heart list again, and we'll see. It's a bit of a debate for Heart, but I think that this list is actually a lot better now than when I did it last month, so it is what it is. And then the top 5 attributes, speed will take number 1, Heart number 2, number 3 being Mind, and now it's really gotten better to the point that it surpassed Tech. Tech being 2nd worst attribute, and Power being, once again, the worst attribute. Like, if I had a hard time trying to rank some characters, it's like, yeah, it's pretty much noticeable. Not that good. Anywho, let me know if you guys agree, disagree, and yeah, that is all. I'm out. Y'all have a good one, lads. Take it easy. I'm not gonna update the top 10 list anytime soon. This was just a video to be able to fix the other 3 lists that I did and just be done with it. But like the next major update will be once we get like, you know, more power creep, more new characters that drop into the game that will probably replace some of the top 5 contenders, and then like, yeah, we'll just have to see about that. Anywho, take care, lads. Y'all have a pleasant day, lads. See ya. Bye. Sayonara. Ciao, ciao.